Well, hello there, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of Ancient Relics and Talky Religions on Rare Drop. Normally, we stream this on JnJake, and I'm joined by two extraordinarily handsome men. On my stream, I would say to my left, but is that stage right? I don't know how that works. Either way, we have Michael in the middle, which I love alliteration, so that works out perfectly. At Master Yoda, I am.
And Evan on the end.
Evan on the end. See, it's not just me. It's not just me. Yep. Evan, I see you Googling how to quit a D&D show. That was one of the first jokes you made when we were starting this that made me really guffaw. Is that the word? Guffaw?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a very current word that all the kids understand. But
Who
yes.
doesn't guffaw these days?
But yes, I'm Jake from JNJtabletop. So yes, we've introduced the people. Why don't you guys say who you play on the game that we play, Ancient Relics and Hokey Religions? Start with Michael.
I play Mac, halfling rogue. And yeah, who has a fancy dagger named Reggie.
Indeed. Oh no!
And we have Evan, who's
No,
muted.
I muted myself. Whoa. I don't know how I did that. I play the halfling monk named Echo.
You
Yeah,
do.
he's a sweet little man.
Cutie little man.
I love him. He's great.
Yep. He just has less sideburns than his character art says. But
Now
yep.
he does.
We've got some socials here on the screen. Feel free to follow them. And if you're not following Rare Drop or J&J anywhere they exist, what are you doing with your life? Yeah, so of course, you are able to catch up on past episodes of Ancient Relics and Hokey Religions, basically any podcast area. And then also we have a playlist that is complete. It has all the episodes in it. Even though they're not all public, because you can sneak unlisted episodes there and then release them at your own pace, which is kind of fun. But yeah, that's all there. And yeah, we released a couple of videos this week on JnJtabletop because we kind of took the month of December off for personal life reasons. Had some family health things and work busyness, all that kind of fun stuff. But things are looking up. But the two videos we released, I did a video about Captain America and how you could potentially get a very Captain America-like experience playing as a character in Dungeons and Dragons. And I know Nia is in chat right here. She asked for Iron Man, so that's coming up at some point, maybe this week. I don't know. Actually, I'll ask her, and because the other one you mentioned, Nia, was Scarlet Witch. Do you have a preference as to which one you would like first? Because I haven't made either yet. So those are going to be on the way. And then we also did a video where Josh and I talked about alignment, and my stance on it is I don't think you should give up on it just because it's popular to do so. There's also a quicker version of my stance up on our TikTok for J&J. Guys, what do you think about that? I know, Michael, you actually had a really interesting comment I liked on the video.
Well, I mean, I will preface this by starting out. 5e is the only version that I have played, but I truly do not understand the hate for alignment. You know, to me, alignment is a good tool to help you understand like what your character should do, especially if you're not you're not like always 100% sure exactly what they do, so you actually have to like think about it. It's a good tool as to where they are. But I also think that alignment is one of those things that it's how you see yourself, or possibly how other people see you, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you'll always follow through in that. You know, if you're lawful good, does it mean that you'll never steal something?
Yeah.
No, just like in real life, people can do things that are somewhat out of character, or they get placed into an odd position.
Sure.
And they'll lie their way out of it, or they'll do something, you know, that might seem a little bit out of character. Now, depending on what that is, it may or may not have consequences, and that's obviously up to the DM. But I don't think it's one of those things that like it has to be oh, you can't do this because you're lawful good. I mean, even unfortunately, even in society, even the most lawful people sometimes do things that aren't, and
Yeah.
whether it's speeding and you have to pay a fine, or whether it's something more egregious that you get in serious trouble for, kind of a thing. Like,
I hear that. Evan,
It's
do you have
like
any, or do you have any thoughts that you want to add to that, or?
I mean, Michael pretty much hit exactly what I was gonna say. Same thing.
Sure.
It's something that you absolutely should have as a reference for your character to see where they would, like, at least starting off. I mean, alignments can change, but at least starting off, what is their personality? Where do they land as far as freedom versus lawfulness, or good versus evil? Like,
Yeah.
I think that's good. It's a good reference to be at, because like there's times where you as a player want to make a certain decision, and then you remember, like, wait, this isn't like what I would do. Like, what would this character be? I'm being this character, so where would they normally land? And then,
Yeah.
to Michael's point, same thing. You can make decisions that are out of character. People do it all the time, so you shouldn't be punished for going against it. In fact, it should create interesting situations.
I agree. Yeah. And thank you, Don Marshall, for that raid.
Oh, thank
Appreciate
you.
that.
welcome.
I don't know if there's a shout out command or not, but Don Marshall 72 on Twitch. There you go. But yeah, just to maybe explain, I think where, at least from what I understand about where people come out alignment with some of the hate, is it definitely used to have more of an effect on the game in the past, right? So like if you were a paladin, the only alignment you could be was lawful good. If you were a ranger, you had to be lawful good, neutral good, or chaotic good. If you were a druid, you had to be true neutral. There's some things like that. So like if somebody's alignment changed, it would be like you lose access to all of your magic and all of this. So like if you're a paladin, you're just a fighter, and it could get kind of out there. And I get that. For me, I think the only time it ever really gets out of bounds is when another player at the table is going to be like, hey, you're lawful good and you just murdered that person, or like or whatever the case may be, and they're trying to tell you how you should play your character. And I think if anyone at the table is doing that, that's easily a spot you just dismiss. And I think there have been a lot of tables out there that unfortunately do things like that. But anybody
you can
here
take a moment like that and turn it into a good roleplay moment. Like, if you really feel that way, if you think that character wouldn't do that, have them call it out in character.
Sure.
That's a great conflict to have.
Yeah. It's so funny too, because the emphasis on roleplay is also very current, specifically for since the advent of like Critical Role and shows like that have a little bit more of a theater mindset with some of it. I think that's used to be a practice that would have been more common back in those days. But yeah, Josh is right in chat.
Well,
if the DM is doing that, that's also wrong. I think you should talk to your DM and be like, hey, I don't think I want to be this alignment anymore. I want to be this other alignment. Is this something that we should talk about? The DM might be like, just do it.
Well, I think you also you touched on one portion of the DM side of it, like when it comes to creatures and what kind of alignment they have. But I think one other positive thing that the alignment has, it does at the beginning of the game, at the very least, create a baseline for the DM to decide interactions, or possibly like how people are going to interact with the group, how like it's just another tool for them to understand, and also possibly create any repercussions of things that may happen.
Anything that can help the DM somehow predict the actions of their players is helpful. Oh man, yeah, absolutely. And Nia, I saw that you mentioned Iron Man, so that will be the first one I do. I know you just saw Endgame today, so our thoughts and prayers are with you. But yes, if you're watching this episode live right now here on Twitch, and you have a question that fits with like what we're talking about, please throw it in chat. There's a really good chance that we're going to use it. That's a good little detour here. Great Bear Keefe. I've never played any TTRPG, but is it better to be more method actor with your character or just be yourself? So if you're not familiar with what that means, method actor is when you never break character. You're just, from the moment you sit down at the table, to the moment you're done is you're just in that character's mindset. And I think that could be unique to the table or the person playing. I personally don't use that. I like to laugh at the things my character does way more often than I should, but it also is the moment.
Well, and I will say, as a newer player myself, the first character I created, I definitely borrowed a lot more heavily on myself to make it easier to play the character, you know, just to kind of like figure out what this is all about and to kind of get into it. But I think it does depend on what you want to, like, how you want to, and also how the table is. Because I think if everyone is doing that, I think it would be much easier to do that. But if you're the only one doing a method acting type of thing, it might be hard to stay in character if everyone else is being a little bit goofier or sillier or whatnot.
You have any thoughts on that, Evan?
Yeah, I agree. I think that if it's something that helps you get into character, and if the rest of the table is cool with it, then like, sure, like why not? If everyone's doing it, you know, even better. For me, you know, I flip the switch and then Echo shows up. I just become him for the times that I'm role playing him a lot of the time, but it's not that's not how everybody is. So you do whatever helps you play the game, whatever makes you feel happier, more satisfied with the
Totally agree.
with the character you're creating and the story you're telling.
Yep. So, now thank you for that question. That was really good. So if this is going to contain spoilers up through episode 44, so you have now been warned if that's something that you'd like to avoid. I would.
And also for Spider-Man No Way Home, we're gonna.
No. I haven't seen it yet.
No, we are not.
No. Oh God! Why would you say that, Evan? Now chat is gonna be so tempted.
Spider-Man kills Dumbledore. Got it. Gotcha.
Oh boy. So I'm just gonna go over a quick review of some recent events because we did one not that long ago, but. Oh, Skelly, good point. You don't even have to roleplay at all as long as your table is good with it. Every table is unique. It's just something that's going to kind of morph and grow as its own thing. But yes, recent events that have recently happened to this recently gathered group, plus Izzy and Josh that aren't here today. So the group was able to make contact with Master Dinoa, who is Echo's monk master who teaches him things and the ways of the open hand. They are followers of Ayun, and was able to do that through use of ascending spell. And Echo also found a note from Master Dinoa and the token of a phoenix in a sealed envelope in Master Dinoa's letter.
It was a sphinx, actually.
His sphinx? It was an entire sphinx?
It was a sphinx. It wasn't a phoenix.
Did I say phoenix? Wow. I just watched.
Say phoenix. It was really embarrassing.
Oh man. I just watched Order of the Phoenix, so maybe that's why.
How embarrassing.
Sphinx, yes. In Master Dinoa's office. After what felt like a very unfruitful conversation with Sister Lene, we eventually did have a very small lead about trinkets that Master Dinoa seemed to keep coming back to the temple with, and there was a small little, what I'd like to call like an antique shop. That's the way I envisioned it, like just this very cluttered mess of a shop named Oscar's Oddities. And there, after some fun interactions with Oscar, we were told about a half-elf woman that stole the ashes/remains of a powerful cleric that was involved in the chaining of the Unchained Oblivion. And then Oscar said that he would share the puzzle box that has a Sphinx, not a Phoenix coin, a Sphinx coin imprint that he has with Echo after we found this woman or returned the ashes. And then something happened because there was a block of time that we've talked about this concept of the family meeting. If I had voice mod ready to roll, I probably would have had my voice boom. Echo. Evan, can you say family meeting in a very like intense and dramatic way?
The family meeting.
Yep. That's how I wanted it to sound. because it did feel like it was looming. There was a lot of stuff that had happened. Evan, what do you think? What are your thoughts on how the... We'll start there. What are your thoughts on how the family meeting went?
So the... Oh, boy. The family meeting was really interesting. We had a very brief talk. I don't even know if it was that brief. We were on there for a little bit after Sunday's session, just talking. We have our usual, like, wind down chat. I think it went about as well as it could have. And it was mostly just like, we just need to all stop for a minute, make sure everyone's on the same page, and that we all understand that some really bad things have happened. And where do we stand? Like, are we cool? Because too much bad stuff is happening and we haven't taken a minute to breathe. And I'll say for Echo, I can talk about this on the podcast. I think I probably talked about this in our little chat too, on the side, but Melly had cast, for those of you that remember, Melly had cast Zone of Truth on the entire party, and we all willingly submitted to it, which meant that any answers that we gave had to be truthful ones. You can still kind of like game the system a little bit with Zone of Truth. You can like kind of dodge the question, but if you're directly answering, you cannot tell a lie. Basically, you can't say anything that's untrue.
At least according to your own knowledge, because if you have misinformation,
correct. So
that would pass.
There were a couple questions that could have been asked of Echo that he would not have been happy to answer, I'll say. And it was, I'm not going to say I was surprised that they didn't come up, because they were not pertinent to anything that happened. And I will not be saying what these questions are, but I just thought it makes perfect sense that none of these things came up. But I know for me and for Echo, we're both like, I hope this doesn't come up.
So while this is extremely vague, I still want to know the answer to this question. Would you have answered it truthfully, or would you have danced around them?
I think it depends on the way.
Whatever those were.
I think it depends on how the questions were asked. Okay. And the funny thing is, one of the questions, I wouldn't know how he would answer it until it was asked. And I think I was very intentionally not like trying to think of like, what's the best response I could have. And I might have even had to roll for it. Like just, or flip a coin. Like it's only one of two answers and both of them are true. So yeah, it's, I don't know. It just would have been fun. I feel like I can't even say it. Like I'm worried about saying it because I don't want to like, now you guys have to figure, it's like something you have to think about, because I'm just surprised that it hasn't come up at all. That it hasn't come up at all. You know what? Whatever. It's the podcast. The question that I was that I was afraid of.
Someone needs to clip that.
The question that I was afraid of coming up is some variant of what is your name?
Thought that's where you were gonna go with this. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, like almost as a way to like, like, let's see if this thing really works. And it's just like, Vale, what is your name? And say Vale Singari.
Okay, like the baseline ones that you're when you see the guys taking the lie detector test.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
Wow.
So let's just make sure this works and that everyone actually, submitted to it.
I will say this.
Yeah.
Mac has no clue that Echo is not your real name and doesn't like have any has no thoughts to like even question or push that, because he's truly just like,
yeah,
that's Echo.
Yeah. I think Echo feels the same way about Mac, but there is this little like, Mac's got to be short for something. Like, it can't just be Mac. So, yes, that's true. Skelly made a good point. I have two characters that have names that they go by and like actual names. Although the reason that my Goliath character has that is because Goliaths, that's like a thing with them apparently. Not that they also have like, no, I think they do. They have like a birth name, and then they also have like a name that they go by, like a nickname that's usually given to them for a thing that they've done.
Something they claim or like earn.
Like Dragon Rider would be like their name
Yeah.
because they tamed a dragon, or like Echo if he was, because he rode on the back of a dragon.
He's Godchild.
The Godchild.
I have a question for Vale.
So,
okay.
yes,
Jake
generally-
/ Vale, but
I'm sorry, Josh also just mentioned you'd have to say I go by Echo, but he does most of the time either say I go by Echo, I'm called Echo. I don't think he's ever said my name is Echo.
probably the
Interesting.
closest is Echo, maybe.
I am Echo.
Call me
Yeah.
Echo.
Something like that, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never had him say
Ooh.
the phrase "My name is Echo."
Interesting.
If I've been very careful about that, it might have slipped at some point, but I'm almost positive that's never happened.
When we did an episode and I was at your house, I remember you pulled up the notes and I couldn't tell you anything about it. I really can't. But I was like, ooh, I was like, I know you have
Yeah.
a different name.
You saw it, or like the second that I had my notes up until I scrolled
You're
down
like,
because I wasn't thinking.
Yeah.
Gosh.
So Michael, it sounded like you had a question.
so I know when Vale was talking, he mentioned, it seemed like everything that he touched just went to crap. Like nothing went
Yeah.
as planned. How much is his confidence shot? And I mean like in multiple areas, because I do feel like when it comes to combat, like the last thing that we did was fighting the dragon, and Vale, that was a Vale and Echo show that just tore that dragon apart, the two of you, where are you at, or where's
Yeah.
Vale at?
I would definitely say in terms of confidence, combat is the one thing he's like, yeah, at least understand that. Like he knows his abilities pretty well. He's a really good shot, all that kind of stuff. He's in this weird place where he feels like he knows how to analyze a situation, but he feels, I don't know, like this term might be like snake bitten or whatever it is, like whatever he tries to do, like if he tries to not touch it, it's wrong. And then every time he tries to touch it or like help or handle, manipulate, any way you want to phrase that, it just doesn't work the way he thinks. Like even just the plan with the the assassination of Barack Obama, everything went like almost exactly the way he thought it would go until the revive didn't work, which was like, kind of a big deal. And then it was just like, okay, here we are. Great. So like in that regard, he's not confident that the way he will approach a situation. Thanks, Josh. That the way he will approach a situation, that it will work. He feels like he will read a situation well. He feels like if they're in a fight, he'll be able to help contribute and do, positive things for everybody and stuff. But yeah.
And this kind of piggybacks on that side, just in the Vale mindset. Obviously we've had so much going on and so much heavy stuff for Vale since the assassination, just with thinking of his family and whatnot. Where's his mind at with old Spooky Johnson, his patron?
That is definitely something that never goes away for him. It's something that actually was part of the motivation for him asking if everybody would, like, how would everybody feel if he left. I think Vale was in a mindset where he really wasn't sure if he was good for the group or not good for the group. And then if he needed help, say with Spooky Johnson, if that got like weird again, like he's not sure if it would be fair to ask for help in a situation like that. Like it's something he put on himself to try and he's still working all of that out. Like he very much was like, I think I gotta handle some family stuff, all this, like he's a mess.
Does he not think that the rest of the group would help him?
So there's a question that we had on the the rotator in the starting soon screen that said something to the effect of like, which person in the group would you want to have your back if your life depended on it? I personally don't think there's a wrong answer to that question. I think he doesn't question if Mac would have his back. I think he would be concerned that Echo and Melly would both it's the wrong, I don't know how to phrase this exactly, like not be judgmental, but like the family meeting definitely helped him in this way. But before going in, he was like, I don't know if I can count on them. They walked away from Mac when he needed help, kind of a thing. But I don't know. Like I feel like right now where the whole thing was left off, he was just basically gushing tears thinking about his sister with his head on Melly's shoulder. Like it's just processing time because he like hasn't done that in a while. I don't think. I think it's all kind of hitting him. So I don't know if he's landed on true thoughts and feelings about everybody. He's just kind of just figuring it out. But I like what Josh asked in chat there. He said, how surprised is everyone about Vale saying he was thinking about leaving? And, Yuzak says he was until he gave his reasoning, especially when he mentioned bringing his sister back home. So
I think it surprised Mac and the fact of why wouldn't we just be going along and doing this? Like, why would we not be doing this as a group as opposed to just Vale doing it, at least in Mac's head? So like that did catch him a little bit surprised. Like I think he understands Vale's desire for it, but possibly not. I don't know, maybe Mac doesn't realize just how splintered the group really is or was before that conversation.
leads me to something I'm gonna ask you later. But
yeah, I'll say Echo was pretty surprised. I think that sobered Echo up a little bit. Him saying, like, I'm gonna leave, like, whatever. It's crazy because like there was a lot of things that were talked about during the meeting, and it felt like super hopeless. And at the end of it, like pretty much the thing in the back of his mind is like, well, like whatever, at least to some extent we could just like keep pushing on, like it's fine. And then Vale's like, maybe once we get this done, I gotta go and just like get this done. Like I think that kind of woke him up a little bit, and he's like, does all this stuff really, like, am I really okay with that? Like, am I really fine just letting Vale walk away and, try to do this stuff on his own? And no, like, of course not. Like, at the end of the day, like, they've only been together for, how long is it? It's only a few months at this point.
like in game time?
In game time.
Yeah, I would say probably something like that.
It hasn't been a terribly long time.
Maybe 3.
But they've done so much together. Well, 3 or 6.
Or 6, depending on how you count the time skip.
3 that we can remember.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, he just kind of had that moment of like, I really got to think about this and weigh out, like, how all of this has affected all of us. And I think thought a little bit more about what Vale is going through, like how everything affected Vale. It wasn't just like I'm helping Mac and like and it's just fine, even though that's what Vale would say. It's not the truth.
Sure.
So yeah, it was just a bit of a sobering moment, and he realized like, no, I don't think I want Vale to leave.
Yeah.
Because he did have his back on something that he, knew was going to be a problem for himself and his family and everything else. But he still did it. Like, that's the kind of person that you want as a friend, even though it's a very self-destructive thing to do. But
yeah,
it was just to that point. That's all it was.
Very interesting. Because I was gonna ask you, Evan, because Echo, I think out of everyone was probably the most quiet during the meeting.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he just didn't really know, like, a big part of that is how distracted he is by what's going on. And he really wanted to make sure that he absorbed everything everyone was saying. So as opposed to, like, doing a lot of talking, he was just doing a lot of listening and trying to, like, process everything as it is right in front of him. So yeah, I would say that was mostly why he was so quiet. But he's having a tough time. He's having a tough time right now, and
Yeah.
he's just happy that at least, you know, at least for now, he's gonna keep having his little family with him.
Yeah.
And they can keep doing what they're doing.
I was gonna say, this is a little bit of, I guess, a little bit of a question for both of you. I was a little surprised that in our conversation with Oscar with the puzzle box, you seemed like you Echo gave up a little quick on getting the box right then and there. And then when we left, I think, how did you phrase it, Michael? Like, just, you want me to get that for you? Like, I'll get it.
Right, like, do you want me to go back in there and get it now?
You want that? It's yours. Like,
if you say the word, I'll go in and get it. Like, Mac specifically didn't want to tell him. Like, I mean, obviously he was going to try to sneak, but if that failed and things went south, he was going to get the box one way or the other. But he didn't want to, like, he didn't want that to dissuade Echo. Like, if Echo needed the box then,
yeah,
he was going to get it then.
Yeah.
To the best of Mac's ability, anyway.
So there's a few reasons for that. The main one of which being that, like he also mentioned after that conversation, Echo like kind of saw something in the guy, and like this is one of Master Dino's friends, and like this is someone who's been in like my hometown that I've been in for the last X number of years, and
that's fair. Yeah.
Like everyone knows like Oscar, like he's a weirdo, but like kind of know Oscar.
Is he a grouch or just a weirdo?
I didn't actually ask, is he in a trash can? Josh, if you could answer that in the chat. Yeah, no, I mean, he kind of felt for the guy and like sort of understood where he was coming from after talking to him a little bit. And while he was frustrated at the whole situation, it's like, well, like, even though the right thing to do right now is to try to get this thing and figure out what's going on, like, I know Master Dino is safe to some degree.
Point. Okay.
And is it really going to like overall benefit the world for me to like do something wrong to this person to like just to get me something? And no.
Okay, so
at least not to him.
So you kind of felt like to push back would have been like Cersei saying, "I choose violence," kind of a thing.
It's just I don't know what his reaction would have been. I don't know if he would have just like dropped it, but he's a guy who's got a bunch of magical items, so I think to assume that he's helpless is laughable. Especially
interesting.
You know, him being friends with the head of a monastery who's known for butt kicking. There's just a lot of bad that could come from it.
Yeah, that's totally fair. There was definitely a part of that I was like, all right, we're just leaving. Okay, like we're gonna wait, and it's fine. We have a lead. Maybe
it's also just not in Echo's nature to turn to like he'll ask and he'll ask again. He's not really the type to like shake someone down.
Well, see, in this situation, and again, this is Max, whatever you want to call it, his view on life. That chest belongs to you. He's shaking you down by withholding it and having you go do something for him.
That is consistent.
So recovering your property, his number one goal would have been to not hurt and would have just been to get the actual box itself. But like for him, it's, you know, just would have been getting it back. Getting your property back to you, because Master Dino said, you're holding this for whoever has this. You had it, hence that box is yours.
As a counter to that, everything is up in the air because Master Dino is involved, because of his way of interacting with the world is always very cryptic. Nothing that he does is ever as simple as it seems. He just, whether it's in a joking way or otherwise, he's just never as straightforward as you would like. So it's a possibility that he knows, that there's or that he knew that there would be another step to this, and maybe there's something about this person that we're going to meet that is important to this, or you never really know.
Yeah,
you never really know.
So maybe
he could be a bit of a grifter, Oscar, but
yeah,
is it worth the chance of potentially hurting someone or at least offering discomfort to this person who's just kind of like a weirdo?
Yeah. Well, like I said earlier, Kim and I watching Harry Potter through again, and it almost feels like the way Dumbledore seems to just have an extra understanding as to what's going on. There's just something about the way he does things that I always just, I don't know, it's just masterful. So I could understand being like, you know what, my instinct is to do this, but I'm just gonna trust him because that's the way that just ends up working out better in the end. Very interesting. Okay, I like that. I like that a lot. So Michael, Mac in many ways, with the family meeting, kind of does have that late to the party vibe going on. I mean, I like that I feel like one thing that I really appreciate about now that I'm playing alongside you as a player and also having DM'd for you in our Dragon of Icefire Peak game is you have you're very good at not metagaming in an inappropriate way, because I do think there's a good use for it, but you'll have to watch our metagaming video on JNJtabletop to get that. But you are very, it seems very easy and natural for you to be like, well, Mac doesn't know that, so boop, here I am.
Well, I mean, I try. I'm not gonna say that I go full method acting with Mac, but I do try to get into his head whenever I'm, playing the
Sure.
sessions, and and so I try to do it as in what would he do with the information that he actually has, and not. I mean, we get to see a lot of additional stuff, and I don't want to ruin the game, because it does add additional aspects to it, and just it also to me is easier to actually play it that way, because it is much easier for me just to go, okay, this is the information he has, this is who he is, this is what he would do. And I mean, obviously there were a couple times, especially in this last situation, where it was hard to separate knowing why they were at the inn to what they were doing.
Yeah.
And to separate knowing that and trying to keep Mac in his mindset of just, oh, they were there, kind of a thing was tough. And I wanted it to come out so that way Mac could experience it, but I don't know why he's had a few of those moments recently. I'm not trying to play him as the clueless person, know nothing Jon Snow, but
Right. I don't think it's gotten in the way. It just kind of like the meme is it's always Val's fault, and Mac is kind of like, wait, what's going on? I don't get it. Kind of has this feeling around him, sort of like that. But yeah, great bear. You ask another question for those who have played for a really long time. What's been your favorite campaign? That's what they're called. That is what they're called, at least for a long string of adventures. I think it's hard for me to pick one, but I would say my first real 5e campaign was really cool. Our friend Matt. This kind of changed the way I approach D&D. I used to be one of the more old school players, and I used to be one of those DMs that wasn't used to saying yes when you have 20 years of DMing experience doing something one way and then someone exposes you to another way of doing that, it was very eye-opening. It was just so much fun, and it never took anything away from the experience. It only added it, and to things like where my character got to become the prince of a kingdom that he had no right to. Like, it was one of those things that was like, what are you doing with this? Like, don't you realize all the power and resources I have at my disposal right now? And he just didn't care. Like, the game was still fun, and it was awesome. So it's so hard to pick, but say since this one is still going on, it doesn't qualify. So that's where that's from me and my perspective. I don't know about for you guys here.
If we're not counting this one, then
you can if you feel like it's the clear thing. I just, because I've played a lot of D&D, y'all.
I don't know. I really don't know. I love this campaign a lot, and it's probably my favorite if I had to rank them. But in an extraordinarily close second is the campaign I'm playing with Skelly in his world of Aedenthal, because it's just like it's a wildly cool world that I went in knowing nothing about. And the way that he has built the world and revealed the information organically, like, there's very little that... There's a couple things that have gotten, like, info dumped where it's like, all right, everyone would know these things. And, like, that was pretty much it. Like, everyone knows about this stuff. But it's cool, like, having the world come in a way that makes sense for the characters to just sort of have it, like, get revealed. It's very cool. His character writing is great. And, and man, it's just phenomenal. It's like this campaign, I love Josh's character work. It's like top tier stuff. I don't know if I've ever had like better character interactions than in this campaign. And that's nothing against you, Skelly, at all, because again, like, these are like, they're like neck and neck. I really love both of these campaigns. So the ones that I'm both in right now.
I love that answer so much.
Yeah, those are probably my two faves, and they're like literally right next to each other.
How about you, Michael? I know you have a whole lot to choose from.
He said for people that had been playing for a long time. I've only played 2 campaigns. So this one, and then the Dragon of Ice Fire Peak, that is also on the JnJ playlist as well.
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay.
yeah, I mean, I'm thankful that I have had such an amazing group and DMs for both games to help ease me into this and into the world, and all of you make it so easy to play my characters. Like, it really has been wonderful.
It's been fun to watch you learn the game and play the game, because from the moment you kind of giggled when you made your first voice as Landor, have that southern accent, to just everything. So, like, I don't know, it was just Josh is trying to force you to choose. That's not fair, Josh. No, it's been really cool to watch, because you've always had a mind for strategy, so I knew you'd pick up the mechanics and all that kind of stuff very quickly.
Well, and I mean I think what's made the game so special has been the group. I mean, it's been the same group both campaigns, except for this campaign. We've had the amazing addition of Evan. Like, you have come in and just been
yes,
perfect. Like, it's as much as I want to continue the other campaign, it's also like, I don't know how I would play without this group without Evan now. Like, it would just seem weird.
It would be very odd. It's just such a seamless, at least it was for us, just to have you around.
It honestly was kind of like wild how quick we meshed. I remember, like, the first session was, it's always weird playing the first session with a new group. Like, there's no way around it. It is always weird. But by the end of that first session, I would even say after like the first hour, like once all of our characters were really introduced and we had our first couple of social interaction, things together, it was crazy how quick we all just like started getting it, like meshing and like seeing what our characters were like and how they would interact. It was just so cool. Doing the little mini heist. It was the first session, right?
Episode 1. I was Josh. To me, that was. I mean, I remember you discussing stuff and like, should I really just start our game in a tavern? I was like, do it. It's cliche, and everybody will both either hate it or love it, or both. I don't know.
I love that it didn't start in a tavern, and then like
it kind of both did and didn't.
Like I almost wish that the name of the tavern was like the cliche intro tavern. Like that was just the name of it.
a place to meet.
Or the wake up in a tavern.
Okay. Yep. Oh, I love that.
Man, just
oh my goodness.
So good.
So I do have a question for you, Jake, and this is more for Jake and a D&D related as opposed to our game specifically, even though we'll dig into it a little bit.
Okay.
I have like, obviously I'm newer in the D&D scene, but in general, from most of the games that I've seen, there seems to be very little multi-classing. And I'm not saying that people don't do it, but just in a lot of the bigger games that I've watched and whatnot, and obviously our games and some other ones, it doesn't seem to be very common. Happens, but not like
sure.
Not every game has a player that does that. What was the thought process behind whether you were going to like I don't know if you planned it from the beginning, at what point you decided you were going to, and are you happy with your fighter warlock?
Okay, that's a fun question, because I think most I would say you're probably right. I think most people don't, because I think most people just like a simpler lane to drive in, if you will. That's not to say that there aren't people that just love number crunching and all that stuff and min-max and like, if I squeeze a level out of this and I, squeeze a level out of that, all those kinds of things. But I think for Vale, I did not plan multi-classing. I'm normally the kind of person that would. I even have an Excel sheet on my on Google Sheets that has like a whole thing 1 through 20 and like boxes and cells so that I could plan it out if I were to do that. So like if Josh is ever like, you guys leveled up, I'm like, I'm ready. Like it's like that fast. Yes. Like that's just the way I usually approach character stuff, because one of my itches is power gaming. I love feeling like my character is strong, and it's fun to be creative with that. But with Vale, I decided I knew I wanted to go fighter, and I knew I wanted to have so a little bit of magic going on there. And then I want to say when we were level 3 or 4, I don't remember which, I remember thinking it would be really fun to add some warlock in there, because I know that the ability to get some smites exists and do some crit fishing, as they say. And I was like, that could be really fun. And then I was like, it would be. And then I started thinking about some really fun stories to tell with Vale. Like, should you make a deal like what he did? Should, like, how does that affect you, and does it affect more than just you, and how does everybody handle that? Like, I thought that would be a fun thing to do, and it's definitely probably been heavier than I thought it might be for the group, which is just kind of a testament, I think, to the role-playing abilities of everybody at the table. But regret it? No. I think Vale's headspace is a little heavy for me sometimes. But as far as like multi-classing, I don't regret it at all, and there's a lot of fun things to do with it. So when it of course, Josh, if you want to hop in, just go ahead. Of course, like if anything else, just like I'm normally not somebody who just will kind of go with the flow as much as I have, so it's been fun to do that. So
you think that a lot of people are missing out because they don't?
Oh, not at all. I think if somebody wants to try and min max or whatever, and multi-classing is part of that, they're gonna already know how that works, and they're gonna be doing things like that anyways. And if someone's just like, hey, I made a character and here we go and this is fun, you know, fun. It looks different to different people for different reasons. So to me, I just like it when the story makes sense, you know, in that way. So when Josh had that idol and to do its thing and all the fun things that went around with that, I thought that was my option. Evan, I agree. That's a great picture for Josh.
So I'm gonna answer Keefe's question about, as a player, did you ever do anything that made the DM go WTF? And I think I did something that didn't just make the DM do that. It made everyone at the table.
Yes.
It was during this game.
How much time do you have, Keefe?
we were in the woods heading to Maddogmsd, and we had made camp, and we were kind of like spreading out, and I was going to get some water when I went and found a river. And, you know, Josh, you know, sets the scene beautifully for the river, you know, like everything about it. And then he's like, and there's this, you know, pretty woman that's walking up and getting water as well from the river. And I was like, yep, I get water, turn around, and I go back the other way. Like everyone expected some sort of interaction with this beautiful lady of the woods. And nope, Mac just is like, turn back around, like, that's none of my business.
Yeah, and Keefe, if you're not familiar, like, we're walking like what was like at least a month-long trek from the city of Shady Creek Run to the ruins, an elven ruin of Maddogmsd, and this is like in the middle of nowhere. It's not like you're not seeing people. Just
yeah, we were definitely in the middle of nowhere. But Mac wasn't gonna question it. That was none of his business, and he was moving on.
Not at all, yeah. So a wild Josh has arrived in the Discord.
Hello.
Greetings, Josh.
How's it going?
I'm happy you could join us.
I just thought it would be a lot of fun to be here for this question. So I could tell you if I agree or not with your, you know, did you make me go what the F or not?
So did that moment do it?
I was very surprised that so it's funny, right? Because with Mac, and I think we kind of touched on this briefly earlier, when you were talking about, like, did he expect the family meeting or anything like that? Michael, you know your character very well, and you play him very subtly at times, and that was one of those times where it was like, oh yeah, this is the perfect moment. Whoever's going to fill up their water, they're going to see this thing that's happening, whatever. And you look and just kind of nod your head, and you're like, nope, and walk away. And I was like, part of me was like, I can't believe this just happened, and the other part of me was like, all right,
that's what he would do.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What you would do.
It's on brand.
He was like, this is none of my business, and I don't have any time for this, frankly.
As a matter of fact, some of my water might evaporate.
Evan, can you think of a moment for Echo in this campaign? I can think of an Echo moment for me, at least.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Like, not that was so surprising. I mean, the closest I can think of is jumping on the dragon's back, but I don't think that was so, like, surprising.
That was just cool. You're Evan Godchild Dragon Rider. That's the way it is.
Yeah, I don't think anybody was too surprised at that, because it's like almost like, if you're fighting a dragon, you gotta try to get on its back. Come on.
Of course.
You gotta try.
The visual of a halfling, and I don't think it ended up happening, but could you imagine if you stunning strike him while he's in the air and you punch the dragon to the ground?
That was the dream.
Oh, that would have been amazing.
Prone.
Yeah,
like I had a lot of opportunities to do something, but his saves were so like his saving throws were nuts.
Plus, I mean, I don't know exactly the details, but a lot of dragons of a certain age have legendary resistance.
Yeah, we kind of figured that was the case going in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you have an Echo moment in mind?
I did. So to me,
I can't think of anything.
So actually, it's one of the beautiful art pieces that Ro drew.
Oh.
So when we were basically, we knew that that literally the Empire is breaking down the door, and we're like, we should get out of here. Echo is just like, I love the visual of him just kind of sitting crisscross applesauce, meditating, being like, no, I will hold off the Empire while you run. And he just was having no part of leaving there. And that was the part that got me a little bit. I was like, oh snap, like this could be bad. Like we might lose one or more or all in this moment.
I was actually fairly sure. There's 2 times I was pretty sure Echo was gonna die. One was on the bridge, the other was the dragon. And the bridge, Echo's whole mindset there was just like, yes, they're breaking down the door. Right now, there's like 2 ways out of this room. One of them leads to a dead end, and the other we don't know. And we are too tired to be able to do anything. So if I can at least give them a minute to like figure out how, to navigate it, or maybe we actually can hold them off, it's worth trying. You know, we gotta at least keep, Melly safe with the thing, and that's it. We gotta get him out.
And then Mac joined him up there, and I know it's been a little while, but I believe there was like, I think the way you RP'd it was there was just like, you put his hand on his shoulder and it was just like no words, but
it was like you two, right? Like,
yep, it was just like, we're
not coming out of this, right? It's like, nope.
Hey,
all right.
Hey Josh, you still there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, was that a moment that might have done it for you? A little bit?
Yeah, so I was surprised that that's how it went, because I thought that you were gonna try to I thought that you all were gonna try to make some sort of run for it, or set a trap and run and like try to engage them at a different spot where it wasn't just like they're through the doors and you're right there. But you did it, and it was a beautiful moment. It was really cool, and that's one of the coolest, most memorable, and one of my favorite images from the campaign.
Mm-hmm. That battle map was so cool too.
What a set piece, man! Like, what a cool set piece for that fight. To your point, in the back of my mind, part of the reason I was thinking of that is they'll have to funnel through there, and there's something we can push people off of. Like,
yeah,
it's not ideal. It's, it could be dangerous because we don't know what they're capable of, but they'll have to all funnel through there, and we can maybe get something going there. There might be something to work with.
Oh yeah,
that absolutely makes sense. I think for me, the biggest what the F moment really from that section was actually what happened that brought you to the room. And that was when you were all together in the entrance, and you had fought some of those weird monsters that really had no place being where they were, and you just had a brief conversation, and Freeman decided, we have to go back. This isn't the time to do this. And you guys were, well, one, I thought you were going to be like, okay, sure. So I'll just, it's the podcast, right? So to pull back the DM screen for a second, my plan and my expectation for that whole setup was you guys were going to go do that thing, and then if you had that fight and it went as bad as it did, which I think a couple people got hurt. Okay, I don't think it was that crazy, but he was gonna be like, all right, let's go back, whatever. And then when you were resting for the night, I figured you guys would try to sneak in and do your thing, and like, it would be almost like a little like Temple of Doom, where you're supposed to be sleeping for the night, and then you go and you find the thing, and you go do like sneak around and everything. I thought that would be what you would try.
I don't know why you'd think that. It's not like we have very stealthy and subterfuge style characters in the group or anything.
Well, but so the other side of that is what he said is like, we have soldiers for that, and
Yeah.
our thought is, all right, that means there's now, instead of like us and one person that we might be able to deal with if we find this thing and they can get their hands on it, it's like the moment now they're sending out waves of guys, like just a whole crew to like go in there and sweep everything out. That's a lot of people we got to worry about getting their hands on something.
That's
I
very
think that
true.
was, I know at least for me, that was where my head was at. Like, I don't think we should. I don't think so.
I'll say this, Josh. Vale was very much thinking along the lines of what you were saying. Like, I think he wanted to make it known that he wanted to continue, but he was, I don't want to say it was for show, but it was more just to make the point and a little posturing, like, what are you, a coward kind of a thing? But all right, fine. And then he was totally just going to sneak down. He was just like, hey, Mac, let's go. Like, it was going to be one of those things. I don't know about
To everyone who's wondering, like, if you haven't seen, like, what we're alluding to is Mac essentially attempted to backstab and assassinate the person who was guiding them through this area, or not really guiding them through, but going with them, and it was their contact with the Dwendalian Empire and the Cerberus Assembly. And while they're in this conversation, Mac is just like, all right, and I try to stab him. and again, that was awesome. There was a crazy little battle that you had and a chase with this guy. You used like all of your resources. And that brings me to the second part of why this was surprising that Echo wanted to do what he wanted to do. Because you had like no resources left.
I had, I believe, one key, maybe two.
Oh my god.
I think it was one.
And Melly had almost no spells left.
Yeah, I think
she had like one level 1 spell left.
she was low. I think Vale actually hadn't used any of his stuff yet, but still, it's only one character, you know. Melly's a long rest character, you know. Sorcerers, when they're out, it's kind of like, all right, we have to be a little more careful because we don't have that support like we normally do.
But it was kind of awesome to see, like, to that point, we had very little resources, and the stuff we pulled off during that encounter was like,
Yeah,
it was unreal. It was so cool. Echo caught a bullet.
it was
Actually,
great.
Yeah,
like 3 bullets, if memory serves.
you caught every bullet.
It was just so dope. Kicked 1 or 2 guys over the edge of the bridge.
Such a good
Almost
fight.
kicked Freeman over the edge of the bridge if he didn't pass his save.
Yep.
Yeah, it was intense, man.
We were outmatched,
Really intense.
and I felt cool. I felt powerful still, and that's
Yes.
a testament to good DMing descriptions, some fun smack talk with Echo, which I thought was, we had some real fun stuff with that one. The
You
unique
need
practice.
better training.
It was honestly great that we were so outmatched and that Freeman had to make the call, like, all right, are we done? Like, can we not, like?
Yeah.
But yeah, we were exhausted.
Yeah. Well, does anyone have anything else that they would like to discuss, or if another quick question from chat maybe? But I think we might be wrapping things up here. No. Michael, you look like you might have said something.
No. Mm-mm.
Okay.
I was just thinking. I was just
Mhm.
bases. I was trying to think if there was anything else.
All right. Well, like I
I'm
said,
trying to think of.
go ahead, Josh.
I guess just quick question for you then, because I'm trying to think of an answer to have I ever done anything as a player like that.
Oh.
But as a longtime DM of mine, and just you've been in pretty much every campaign I've played,
Right.
is there anything that stands out for you? Something crazy that I've done as a character?
I don't think I've ever had outside of like Gonzo one shots where that's the norm. I don't think I've had a moment where I was like, oh my gosh, like why did they do that? I think in Dragon of Icefire Peak, I think the only thing where I was like, why are they fixating on this was, I think just how hard you guys would haggle with some of the shops. So I think that was probably the only thing. That would,
man, that's so perfectly D&D.
that would, yeah, you know, it's like you basically sometimes you're talking about people that are just like literally like Scrooge McDuck swimming in money bins, and they're like, does it really cost 5 silver? Like, not that you were doing it, but sometimes that's just like, all right, guys, come on, like, can we not?
That's fair. That's very fair.
Like,
That's really the
we
only
want
thing
an
that comes-
extra 5 gold for these 85 hides that we're bringing in.
But
Wow,
that
I
would
gotta
probably
watch
be
that
the
again.
that would probably be the only thing I would say. And Skelly, it's a fun. Out of all 4 characters, which one is the most sus, and which one is the most cringe? It's a great question.
I mean, I think Mac is the clear most sus, personally.
Yeah, Mac is definitely the
I-
sussiest.
Cringe though has a different connotation. I'm almost wondering if
no,
I'm almost
I think
wondering if
Echo's
for
the most
me,
cringy.
if Mac is cringe, Vale is sus.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to really think about that.
Vale could be considered sus in just the fact that, at least with the group, for the most part, Mac is open about his susness.
Okay.
Like
Okay,
Where-
I'm just
whereas
gonna
he
say
doesn't hide it.
absolutely not. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
And look,
Exactly the opposite.
Being open about being sus is pretty cringe. So I think Mac is both the sussiest.
There you go. Yeah. Mac sus good,
I
Mac
mean,
cringe good.
Mac can take both of them. I'm all right with that.
Oh boy. Well, and this is your first time here, whether you're watching live right now in this moment on Twitch, YouTube, podcast, wherever this place ends up. Oh man, if you enjoyed yourself, go make sure you're following, subscribing, liking, and like the thing said earlier, telling the people that you love them. And if you want to catch up on past episodes, go to youtube.com/JnJtabletop and check out the Ancient Relics and Hokey Religions playlist. All the episodes are there. And if you're here in chat right now, you can do Command J and J. And as Josh, you always say, some form of this or another, be kind to each other because it is worth it. All right? Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Love you. Take care.